Hello friends, welcome back to the Plague Eldritch Anecdotes. I'm your guide Ariana, and we are going to do this episode a little unconventional, a little different, mainly because this week has been hectic, but I promised you an episode on Friday. So let's touch base real quick. First off, I want to start with have you guys watched the recent episode of Ghost Adventures? That episode was crazy. It was in the haunted museum out here in Vegas, and I guess there was like some growling happening in one of the rooms once Zach obtained Sam Little's ashes. And if you don't know who Sam Little is, do a little research, but he is a renowned serial killer who I believe choked his victims with the seatbelt. But yes, check it out, see how that went. It's a little cray-cray, a little cuckoo bananas. But I definitely wanted to share that because I didn't know if anybody watched Ghost Adventures religiously. I watch it religiously. It is been something I've always been into since they started. So here I am watching the crew. 30 seasons I think, 31, I can't remember, I can't keep up. But yes, another note is that this week was the first full official week of school. We actually had to do some work, and let me tell you, I cannot with the amount of assignments I have. I just cannot. I've still got to figure out my pace. I'm still getting those ducks in a row. But that is okay. But hey, here we are. Another episode. Some more good stories coming your guys' way. We've got the usual stories from Reddit, stories from Quora. And with that, let's get into it. Okay, so our first story is coming from Quora under the paranormal encounters subgenre, and it is posted under "What is the creepiest unexplained event you know of?" And this was shared by Melinda Chilcote a year ago. I'm not entirely sure I should call it creepy, but it was definitely unexplained and is really kind of unexplainable. My daughter and I lived with a housemate. He owned the house. We paid him rent. Although there was no relationship other than friendship between the housemate and I, we were basically a family. I was leaving one day to go to work, and his father was sitting at the picnic table on the deck. I said, "How are you doing, Mr. Booney?" And he didn't speak, but he did point to his house with tears in his eyes. I made it almost to the driveway before it occurred to me that he had been dead about a year. I ran back up the steps and told my housemate, "Go check on your mom now." Briefly, I told him why, and he ran to his mother's. She lived next door, but both houses were on a huge lot. A few moments later, I saw the ambulance back in the driveway and take his mom away, lights flashing, sirens blaring. My housemate's mom had fairly advanced Parkinson's disease. Apparently, sometime during the night, she had fallen out of bed and was trapped between an exterior wall and the bed. It was during winter, and it was an older house with little insulation. The exterior walls were cold. She had lost control of her bladder at least once and was soaked. She was hypothermic and dehydrated. She believed the only reason why she didn't die from hypothermia was the dog. Her dog crawled under the bed. It was a large dog and cuddled with her. The dog never left her. Explanation? I have none, except that at the time of his father's death, his parents had been married for 60 years. When my housemate questioned me, I described what his father had been wearing. I perfectly described his favorite shirt and pants, right down to the black plastic comb in his shirt pocket. It was what he had been buried in. I had not attended the funeral, and although I knew my housemate's parents, I didn't know them well. I don't normally believe in ghosts, fairies, and things that go bump in the night. However, this happened 10 years ago, and I still cannot come up with a reason why. That's crazy. It was like, so what I'm picturing is OP's housemate owns a lot of land, right? Or a good portion lot, and or his parents have their house probably built on it, and then they have another house built on it that they rent out, which they probably gifted to him, and he is subrenting some rooms, right? Which is where OP and her daughter come in. That's crazy that it was probably just like an old habit that never really passed OP, and that she just was leaving to go to work, or where did she say she was going? Yeah, she was on her way to go to work, and his father was sitting there, and she's just like, it was another ordinary day. How you doing, Mr. Booney? And that it clicked to her like, hey, how is his dad sitting there? He's not even alive anymore. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's very telling, you know. It's interesting how sometimes when something bad is happening or coming or about to happen, that you can get those little signs, in this case a full apparition, to forewarn you and guide you out of those situations. So, but I thought it was a very cool, quick little story to share with you, friends. I love that she was able to depict exactly head to toe what her housemate's dad was wearing, and that he was buried in his favorite clothes. So it's very interesting. I wonder if she still lives there with her housemate, but it doesn't sound like it. She said it was 10 years ago, so probably not. But I wonder if she's still in contact with her housemate, and maybe she can ask him about it, like just kind of brief conversation, be like, hey, you remember when this happened? And just see how he feels about it. So that would be cool. I wonder how her daughter feels about it. She doesn't really mention anything that other than her daughter was living with her at that time. So it doesn't really say. Oh, excuse me. It doesn't really say how old her daughter is. Yeah, my daughter and I lived with the housemate. He owned the house and we paid him rent. So I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you feel about that little story? I think it was very, very telling and very cute. Like what happened to OP's housemate's mom is very scary, but overall, I feel like it was very telling. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I don't see anything crazy comment-wise. Just that people are saying they're happy that OP listened to her intuition and thinking about seeing her housemate's dad and feeling that warning sign. But yeah, that is the first story of this episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know how you're feeling about that one, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling. I will say, before we jump into the next story, this crazy hereditary line. Blur it on camera for you guys. But it'll still be there. Let's see. Yep. Get this forehead line. This big one for my father. Normally, my hair covers it, like you guys seen in the other episodes, but I've been doing this a lot because now my hair has gotten heavier. I should cut it a little short again. I liked it kind of short and really curly, but also wanting to grow it back. And now it's got so much weight in my curls that they're not tiny curls like I was like a month ago. Now they're like big loose curls. This morning I thought this part of my hair was up here, and then when I got to work and I took off my headphones and stuff, I realized my hair dropped. I need a haircut. Okay, story 2. Sorry, I had to get that out there. This one is coming from Reddit. It is under r/paranormal, and it was posted 22 days ago, so very fresh. And it was posted by it's Fish20, titled, "On a call with my mom earlier, we both heard a younger version of me calling." Had this posted on Glitch in the Matrix, but it was taken down for some reason. Someone told me to post it here. My mom has had the same cell phone number since 01. I have had mine since I was 16 in 04. Today, at like 3 p.m., I was on the phone with my mom, just normal BS, talking about my kids and how my dad's new job was going. All of a sudden, the call got fuzzy, like someone was crinkling paper right by the phone, and then this younger yet stupid familiar voice cuts in and starts talking to my mom just on a tangent. Something about how unfair it was he couldn't go on a trip. We could hear him, but he couldn't hear us, and eventually it stopped altogether, and we kept the call going, commented on how weird the cell interference was on the new iPhones, and hung up. Now going back and thinking on it, that voice was me. I remember that call to my mom when I was 17. I wanted to go to Alpine Valley in Wisconsin with a group of older kids in high school, and she said no almost instantly and would not tell me why. I was so mad at her for weeks after. I have a journal from high school that I found that even has me bitching about it. Never had something like this happen. Legit confused at our universe right now. Ghosts? Sure. People are strong and can leave for sure. Ghosts? Sure. People are strong and can for sure leave stuff behind. But a call from the past, as clear as day, that's odd. This one's tough. I'm letting you guys kind of soak it in. Just picture, it doesn't have to be your parent or anything specifically, but picture you and a person you've had conversations with a million times. And then all of a sudden you hear either your younger self or they hear their younger selves cut into your guys' conversation. Explain that to me. I'm just rereading this. My brain cannot wrap around this. It's crazy. Someone in the comments asked if OP's mom ever told him why she wouldn't let you go on the trip. And OP says, from what I can remember, she didn't like the older kids. I had gotten caught smoking weed with them that previous summer, so she probably thought they were just bad influences or something. Another comment was sharing a brief story. I'm trying to find this one too. That a girl posted about a bizarre event between her boyfriend and her roommate, and that they all spent a couple weeks hearing each other around the house saying things, but each of them was denying saying anything. Point of that story was that what they believed to be paranormal was actually suggested by users to be a glitch in the Matrix. None of the voices they were hearing were doing anything particularly nefarious. It was just like sound bites from previous encounters were seeping into their current reality. Listen, I don't know what Marvel universe we're living in right now, where the timelines are clashing into one, but a heads up would be nice. Okay, where is what's the company's name in Loki? The time management unit people. Where are they at? Someone come fix this timeline. And then another person asks, you say we, but did your mom actually comment about the weird voice? Did she hear it too? Or did you just disassociate while there was static and filled the void? Or because of the circumstances, your brain dug up a memory of a previous time you talked with her on the phone? And then, of course, they say, no, she heard it too. She was the one that actually brought it up and asked if I could hear someone else on the line. So, yeah, this one has me mind boggled. It's not necessarily spooky, but it is on that paranormal realm of what the, you know what I mean? What the hell? What the fuck? I don't understand. I'm just gonna reread it 18 times to figure this out. But it's cool that OP like had that realization that it was their voice, and then they found the journal about that incident and like put two and two together of what was going on. But yeah, has anybody had this happen to them, whether it was on, like I said, on the phone with somebody or in a building or something? I'm not sure, but I do want to know if anybody else has had this happen. Tell me strange things are happening, friends. Speaking of strange, let's move on to our last story for this episode. I do want to say, on the note of being strange, I don't remember if I told you guys this last episode, but we had specimens come in, cadavers come in for work. Was it last Friday? Maybe it was this Monday. I can't remember exactly. It was either last Friday or this Monday. Like I said, it's been a long week. And in the middle of us taking them off the truck that they get transported on and opening them up and just checking them out, make sure they're good for being used, and before we put them in the fridge, it's funny because we were unboxing the second cadaver, and as we're inspecting him and like taking the lid off the box that they come in, my coworker, he was like, you know, it's nice doing this with people around me, because if I were doing this alone, I'd be freaking out. And he's like, and I already get the weirdest feelings when I'm in here by myself. I stopped dead in my tracks. I can't remember if I told you guys this last week or not, but I stopped dead in my tracks, and I look up at him and I say, in this specific area or like this whole building? He's like, no, like this specific area. And it was that area I was telling you guys about in the first or second episode at my job, that like when you're in there with people, it's fine, but when you cross the certain doorway to go into that area, you feel like someone's watching you, you hear things. I told you I see like shadows and stuff. And so I asked him, I was like, what do you experience when you're in here? And he goes, oh, sometimes I hear like strange knocking, or like I think people are talking when there's no one else in here with me. And he's like, or like shadows and stuff. I shit you not, you guys, I told him, so I'm not crazy. And he goes, what? And I was like, I have been feeling and hearing and seeing these things too, just when I'm by myself in this area, no other part of this building. And he's like, really? And I was like, yes. And I was like, and you're just validating my whole thing right now. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. He's like, yeah. And he's like, it's always like, he's like, they're not loud knocks, they're like tiny little knocks. I was like, yeah, like here or there. And I'm like, my flabbers guessed it. But back to strange things happening outside of my job. This next story is coming from r/paranormal encounters, posted 8 days ago. So I'm getting you guys some fresh stuff. 8 days ago by recent_cancel 3671, titled Strange Knocking on the Front Door. If anyone can tell me what this is or how to stop it, that would be super helpful. Me and my family aren't big believers in the paranormal. Yes, we believe that there's an afterlife, but we are massive skeptics and can always find explanations for the odd door closing, odd door creaking, etc. Recently, though, something has been happening that none of us can explain. It started about a week ago. Me and my mom were home alone and in the living room with our German Shepherd. Our cat was in the hallway, and suddenly we heard a loud knock on the front door. 3 knocks, loud and sharp. We both looked at each other, thinking it was odd because we have a huge and loud metal gate at the top of our driveway, which we can usually hear being open when someone enters our property. Both me and my mom stood up to see who it was. Our dog was behind us with her ears down, tail between her legs, which was strange. She never acts like this, even with unexpected guests. She's always happy and overexcited. Our cat sprinted upstairs, hairs up on end. I found her afterwards shaking under my mom's bed. There was nobody outside. No sign of anyone either, no footprints on the porch, gate still closed. We live in a fully fenced off property. We walked around the entire property and found no sign of anyone. Our neighbor is elderly and struggles to get around, so there's no way in hell he or any human for that matter could knock on the door and get out of our property in that short span of time. Me and my mom were shook up as we both heard it, so we knew we weren't hearing things. This is the first time something has happened where we can't find a reasonable explanation. Since that night, I can't sleep with my bedroom door closed. When it's closed, I swear I hear a soft knocking on the outside. With it open, nothing. My cat and my dog keep acting strange. They will hide behind furniture, growl, hiss. Again, very unlike them. They are overly friendly and chilled out for most of the time. My entire family have been hearing each other calling them. For example, my dad was in the shower after work whilst me and my mom went for a walk. He swore he heard my mom calling for him from the kitchen. When I'm home alone, I constantly hear my mom and dad calling me, but again, there's nobody there. I think I may be paranoid, but I've just come back from work and the knocking on the door happened again. Sorry, let me redo that. I think I may be paranoid, but I've just come back from work and the knocking on the front door happened again. 3 loud knocks, so loud and hard my keys in the door are shaking. Maybe I'm paranoid, I'm not sure. But if this reminds anyone of their own experiences or they have any advice, that would be great, as I feel like I'm losing my mind. Fresh out the gates, this one. I think OP and their mom, wherever they live, is not of good land, and something was allowed in when they opened that door and they took a walk on the property. Very vampire-ish in a sense, you know, you have to invite them in, but in this encounter, I feel like just opening the door and crossing the threshold of the door allowed whatever it was in. I don't want to say 100% it's a mimic, but it could be. If dad is hearing people call for him and no one's home, and vice versa about OP and mom and stuff, I'm not rolling that one out. You know, a couple people in the comments have said it's could be a mimic. Another person said it could be, usually means death or something really bad is going to happen. But most people are saying never open the door. Don't open the door. But it's kind of too late. OP already said they opened the door. Like, OP's screwed in a sense. This is a little too late. This is 8 days late, right? Because they posted 8 days. Could have told me 8 days ago not to open the door, but here we are. But yeah, it's hard to tell. The reason why I don't want to jump to mimic is because I know some entities can take the form of people that you know and use that to their advantage. But it's hard to say. And I feel like if OP's losing their mind, they need to start with the simple steps, right? Gather your evidence, get some cameras, install them. Maybe try some salt, try some sage, and some prayers, if that's what they're into. And tell whatever it is that they're not welcome. That's where I'm at on that. And some people seem to be on that same page too. A lot of them are telling you get a holy water, maybe go grab a priest. Let's see. And then it's in a knock of threes, right? Let me go back up. Three knocks, loud and sharp. And then again, 3 loud knocks when they were coming back from work. So yeah, I don't think I scrolled farther down on here. Yeah, here, I didn't see this comment. You should not open the door. These mimic things, that's usually how they start out. They knock, open the door, and no one sees them come in. They mimic voices, noises, everything. They can even do it visually as well. Like, you'll see the back of your mom walk into another room, only it looks a little off, or sounds a little off. You try to follow it, it vanishes. The more you pay attention to them and talk about them, are scared of them, the stronger they get. They feed off your fear and delight in scaring you. They're not nice. So yeah, I don't know, but I also kind of want to know what kind of area OP lives in. Not necessarily like actual location, but like, what's the setting like? Are you surrounded by trees? Do you live on a farm? Do you have a lot of land and gate? Because if it's gated all the way around, it sounds like they got some land. Like, what is your environment like, OP? That's what I would want to know. Because sometimes that could be part of it. Like I said, who knows what kind of land they're on. And I'm not saying they necessarily did something to provoke this, but something or someone could have. Their neighbor is elderly. What if the neighbor did something and it just happened to travel over? I don't know. This is very interesting. Oh, sorry, I was reading this comment. I was confused by it. It says, crazy that your car was inside and grew legs to run up the stairs. And it's a picture of OP's cat, and he says the car in question. But when I was reading it, I already knew that OP meant cat because they spelled cat in the first couple of sentences, and then he messed up later on, or she messed up later on. put in car instead of cat. But it's funny, the cat is actually quite a cutie pie. It's like all white and it has like the little brownish here and brown on the tail. I'm not going to show you OP's cat. If you want to see it, you gotta look it up yourself. But very cute kitty cat. Ooh, somebody suggested that it could be a Tommy knocker. Because, you know, they tend to usually knock in sets of threes and there's nothing standing outside or like on the ring camera or anything. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh, there's a miniature update further down, you guys. This is just getting better. Okay, so update was 7 days ago, so a day after OP posted. It says update. So I took everyone's advice. I sage cleansed the home with all windows open. Prayer commanded the entity to leave. Last night I spoke with my dad about what he's been hearing, and we both are in agreement. If anything else is said, to ignore it. As we were speaking, 3 loud knocks came from the wall behind us, or beside us. Safe to say, we both froze but continued to ignore it. Guessing the cleanse didn't work. My animals are still acting out of sorts, but hopefully not giving it any more energy or attention will help. Ooh. Hold on. See, now I gotta keep scrolling for you guys. That just got a little juicy. And OP's just answering some more questions. Someone did ask, do you have a camera? If not, install one so you can 100% figure it out if it's really a person. And they said, OP said, I'm going to see if I can get cheap camera doorbell. Part of me is more scared of it being human than an entity, which is true. People are more scary than the paranormal. I don't know what it is about people, but they are the scariest. But that's it. There's really nothing else. Oh, yeah, someone way down below asked that question. First off, where do you live? It's just, I mean, they asked for country, state, city, blah, blah, blah. I don't need all of that. And if they live in like a mountain area or whatever, OP did put, hey, I'm from England. Craziest part is not near any type of forest, although I was talking to my neighbor and found out the land used to be a farm. A young girl died in the lake on the property near our home. Could this be connected? See, I told you guys it had to have been something around. I knew that land had been something else. I don't think it could be the young girl that died by the lake of their near the property home. Possible chance. You know, everything kind of resonates and absorbs into the earth, right? But I mean, I think OP should dive into the history of that and make sure, first of all, it's 100%, but also just know the history of the land that they are living on. And it's England. England has some history. So yes, that could have been farmland at one point, but there's something more to that. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about that. Tell me if you guys like stories like that. I know it's not per se paranormal, but if you guys are into like creepy people stories that kind of freak you out, I'll share some of those stories because I find a lot of those of like weird people encounters that are really creepy. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about that story. That was it. There was no other update besides that one 7 days ago. I'll keep an eye out on OP's journey. I'll have to come back to it. Let me click on their page. Let's see. Follow. Let's see. Yeah, that's really it. I'm just double checking everything. It's just that one little update. So, I mean, it's still fresh, you guys. It's only a little over a week old. So, we're going to keep you guys in the loop on that. All right, guys. That's all I have for you, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry it was more laid back and not more of the ambiance I usually throw. Like I said, I'm a little disorganized this week. Just still trying to get the flow of how to delegate my schoolwork. But until next time, I shall see you next Friday. And then we're gonna get ready for Valentine's Day stories. So submit me some Valentine's Day spooky stories if you've got them. Or if you want to talk about like romance horrors, or it doesn't have to be romance. It can be romance horror movies. It could be like what's that one movie? Like Prom Night or whatever, or My Bloody Valentine. We can talk about that. So send me your stories, you guys. My husband's opening the door and disrupting us. My creaky door. And I will see you guys next week.